I'm John Bartell. There's kind of just a mishmash of things, a lot of different kind of activities.
It's old, it's rough, and it's supposed to be a slide.
The only way to get these guys is to catch them in the wild. Not only that, but you broke your tip. You do not want to get your foot on.
No.
I'm John Bartell. Good to see you on the back road. California has 58 counties, each one with their own landmarks, history, and attractions. And since 2018, I've been exploring the back roads of each one of those counties. I've met interesting people, seen beautiful landscapes, and come across a lot of oddities. So over the next hour, I'm going to show you some of my favorite stories in each one of the counties. First stop, the northwesternmost county, Del Norte County, where you can see what it's like to live in a working lighthouse. Just outside the breakers in Crescent City is Del Norte County's Battery Point Lighthouse, a volunteer-based, fully functional maritime navigational beacon.
Who wouldn't want to do this?
Katie Harrison is the acting volunteer lighthouse keeper, which requires her to live, sleep, eat, and act as the tour guide to the public.
All the kids say this is the best part of the tour.
Obviously, the big perks to this job is the view from the top of the lighthouse.
It is a 750-watt halogen light bulb that can be seen 14 miles out to sea.
To the east of Del Norte County lies the rugged mountainous landscape of Siskiyou County. Wilderness is the main draw to visitors up here, and to the far east is Lava Beds National Monument, with a maze of caves and ancient lava tubes to explore. Travel south down I-5, and you'll find yourself in Weed, California. Don't let the name fool you. This town got its name from Abner Weed, a historic logging tycoon. Today, though, the quaint artist shops and mountain views bring tourists to town. And if you're looking for a unique lodging experience, try the Railroad Park Museum in Dunsmuir, where you can sleep inside a real railroad car. If wide open spaces are calling your name, head east to the Surprise Valley in Modoc County, where wild horses roam. It's one of the last places where you can get close to these majestic animals to get a picture. And believe me, the Wild West is alive and well in the little town of Cedarville. Historian Gene Bilodeau says that this was once a stopping point for pioneers on the Applegate Trail.
But it was a trading post early on.
Cedarville may be small, but it's uniquely positioned near several hot springs and alkaline lakes. It's the town that Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox built. I'm John Bartell, and this is Westwood. Located in southwest Lassen County, 10 miles from Lake Almanor, Westwood is a historical logging town built on a tall tale.
For a long time in the lumber camps, they'd heard the stories of Paul Bunyan, but nobody had ever written them down.
Westwood was founded by the Red River Logging Company back in 1913. Historian Sherry Bingswager says that Paul Bunyan was kind of an advertising stunt.
The guy named William Lougheed was an artist and a storyteller, and he came up with this picture of Paul.
William Lougheed wrote several short stories about Paul Bunyan as a way to advertise the large supply of sugar pine trees that the company logged. The tall tales continue as we move into Shasta County. Next stop, Lassen Volcanic National Park, where you'll find boiling acid pits and the legend of Bumpus Hell. Few places in California are as volcanically active as Lassen National Park.
Lassen Peak erupted between 1914 and 1917.
It was in part because of these images that President Roosevelt designated Mount Lassen as a national park, and curious adventurers traveled great distances to see this. It's known as Bumpus Hell.
So if folks wanted to jump in here, not only would you get burned by the heat, but you would get burned by the chemicals.
Bumpus Hell got its name decades before Mount Lassen's eruption. The acid waters here were made popular by an unfortunate tour guide.
Kendall Van Hook Bumpus was leading folks out here and ended up punching through one of the hydrothermal soils and burned his leg up pretty bad.
You don't have to worry about stepping into a boiling acid pit these days. A newly constructed walking trail and boardwalk allows visitors to get within safe distance of Bumpus Hell. Alpine lakes and remote towns pepper the sparsely populated mountains of Trinity County. And if you like history, there's one town you have to visit, Weaverville, California. It was once a mining boom town and home to more than 2,000 Chinese laborers. And just off Main Street is the Joss House, the oldest Chinese temple in California, and it's still used today. Just down the street, though, is the Jack Jackson Museum. and it's loaded with a huge collection of Trinity County artifacts, taking you back to a time when Weaverville was lawless.
When the county was formed, there was no formal government here, so there was no sheriff.
And if you run into museum director Daryl Forsland, he'll show you around the blacksmith shop and mining display. Visitors can also enjoy a high-class cultural experience at the Highland Art Center or catch a movie at the Trinity Theater. Trinity County is also the gateway to the Redwoods, which leads you to Humboldt County, home of the Redwood Forest and Fern Canyon. The 300-foot tall trees dominate the sky at Redwood National and State Park. But on the forest floor, fern is king.
Protected from the sun, tons of moisture, tons of nutrients. The entire wall is alive.
Justin Legge is an educational tour guide with Redwood Adventures. And if you can't tell, he's super passionate about the park and Fern Canyon.
Biologically, though, these ferns in the canyon go back hundreds of millions of years.
At least a dozen different fern species cling to the wall of the canyon, feeding off decaying matter from the forest to create a one-of-a-kind vertical wetland. Unlike the rainforests of the Redwoods, Tehama County is mostly made up of grassy, arid farmlands, perfect terrain for buffalo. You'll find these beasts just outside the Buckhorn Recreation Area on the Black Butte Bison Ranch. And if you love olives, Tehama County is the place to be. It's home to the world's largest olive. And if you really want to get adventurous, try out the olive milkshake at the Olive Pit. That's really surprising, yeah. Next stop, Plumas County, home to the Johnsville Historic Longboard Races. This is the Plumas Ski Club Longboard Revival Race.
Basic rules is no spitting and cheating.
It's the oldest ski competition in the nation.
And first person, man or woman across the finish line wins.
This wacky event is rich with history dating back to the 1850s.
Miners were coming to mining camps in the La Sierra, and they started making these longboards 10 to 15 feet long.
In the beginning, wooden skis were means of transportation in the winter.
And then once they did that, they realized we could make some money by having races.
Most of those races took place here in Johnsville below Eureka Lake. Today, their tradition is carried on just like it did in the 1850s. Next up is Sierra County, the least populated county in the state, where cows outnumber the people. But in the little town of CALPINE, yaks are the animals of choice. From Highway 89, you can see Sierra Valley yaks, and if you're lucky, owners Jenna and Greg Gatto will be feeding the hairy animals, and they might just show you around. Just watch out where you step.
A lot of yak poop.
If you're looking for a place to stay the night, consider renting out a fire lookout tower. The CALPINE Fire Lookout gives a rare look at the Tahoe National Forest. This historic building is used to look for fires in the summer and rented out to campers in the off-season. To the west of Sierra County is Butte County, and in the spring, a spectacular show of wildflowers presents itself on Table Mountain just outside of Oroville. This 3,300-acre reserve offers a wide range of hikes, but if you're up for a 3-mile hike to Phantom Falls, it's well worth seeing the area's most picturesque waterfall. If you're visiting in the fall and winter, a massive migration of snow geese rest their wings in the rice fields and wetlands of Chico. This spectacular display of wildlife fills the skies with more than 5 million birds. Rail bikes, crawfish, and a caboose hotel. You're watching Bartell's Backroads. There's a whole lot more. Hey, John Bartell here. We're continuing our tour of all 58 counties across California, showing you some of my favorite stories. Next stop, Glenn County. Just off I-5 in the town of Orland, it's known as the Queen Bee capital of the world.
Pretty much the queens are the rock stars. Trust me, we've got a lot of divas.
Glenn County sells around 200,000 queen bees every year, and they help create the bee colonies that pollinate the world's food crops. Glenn County also makes some pretty good honey. Hiding below a towering redwood forest on the Mendocino coastline is a bike ride like no other. This is the historic Western Railroad track in Fort Bragg. And this is a rail bike. The pedal-powered locomotive rides on what's known as the historic skunk train track.
It's a former logging train. It began passenger operation in the early 1900s.
It's called the skunk train because of the stinky exhaust that comes out of the locomotive. But you won't find any pollution on the rail bikes. Clear Lake is California's largest natural lake, and it's located in Lake County. Along the bank, you'll find a few oddities, including the Featherbed Railroad. This unique bed and breakfast allows visitors to sleep in a themed caboose. Each room is decorated in its own special way. Is this handlebars?
Yes, this is handlebars.
Just a fair warning, these rooms are not necessarily kid-friendly. This place is more of a lover's getaway. If the caboose hotel's all booked up, make a stop at Clark's Collectibles and tour through the Lunchbox Museum. Inside are more than 900 lunchboxes and some other stuff.
We have a little bit of everything in here.
Just east of Lake County, you'll run into crawfish country. Living in the rice fields of Colusa County are invasive crawdads, and instead of killing them, trapping company California Crawfish traps them, processes them, and then delivers them for crawfish boils all around the United States. Oh, and if you're driving down Highway 45 just north of Grimes, stop at the Little Shrine, which is debatably the smallest church in California. This place was built in 1883 and the location of the first Mass in Colusa County. Sutter County is home to the smallest mountain range in the world, the Sutter Buttes, and it's a one-of-a-kind hike. The mountains are surrounded by private land, so the only way in is on a tour with the non-profit group Middle Mountain Interpretive Hikes. Once inside, you'll walk among hordes of oak trees and wild animals feeding on the acorns. Above you is the tallest peak, just over 2,100 feet. That's about 600 feet shorter than the world's tallest skyscraper. It's truly a special hike. Fewer than 800 people a year are permitted inside. It's kind of hard to define where the middle of nowhere is, but in Yuba County, the middle of nowhere is off Highway 20 in Timbuktu. Once a populated mining town, Timbuktu currently has more chickens than people. People like Rebecca Carlson.
Otherwise known as Becca Boo from Timbuktu.
Some demolished buildings and the old Wells Fargo stop are all that's left in Timbuktu. But if you head 20 miles down Highway 20, you'll find Wild River Fruits in Tambo, California's largest kiwi farm. And if you come in the fall, you can experience harvest season. Fun fact, kiwis were originally called Chinese gooseberries. Continue down Highway 20 west of Yuba County, and you'll end up in Nevada County, home to the communal waters of Bitney Springs in Nevada City. Believe it or not, this water spews out of an old spring from an underground mine. And on any given day, you'll find a line of cars waiting to fill up. If you don't mind a little drive, you can take that water down to the little town of Washington and use it to make coffee at the Coffee Pot Museum. This is the largest collection of coffee pots west of the Mississippi, according to Walt Aronson. Next stop is Placer County, in the gold rush town of Auburn, where you may be surprised to find some risque statues.
So you just decided to let it all hang out there?
Yes.
These are the great concrete statues of Auburn, constructed by dentist and artist Dr. Kenneth Fox.
That little guys like me, we do a large thing.
Fox built the statues in the early 1970s, and they represent Amazon warriors. They are eye-catching, but if nude statues aren't your thing, you may enjoy a hike through the Blodgett Forest in neighboring El Dorado County. Just be warned, the Blodgett Forest may have you running around in circles. Deep within the El Dorado National Forest, there's a smaller forest. On the ground, it gets stranger. Each tree is marked with an identifying metal dog tag.
We're getting way back here.
This is the Blodgett Forest, home to the circular-shaped Nelder plots. Yes, this is just a bunch of trees, but it's also part of a decades-old experiment put on by UC Berkeley forest researchers.
If we were to look at it from above, you could see that it looks kind of like a wagon wheel.
The Blodgett Forest has many wagon wheel-shaped Nelder plots in it. Not because it's pretty, but because the spokes of the wheels are easy to study.
So that we can look at the impacts of density or spacing on tree growth.
Our 58-county tour of California will continue after the break, but while you wait, check out some of the other places I've been. Just head over to abc10.com/backroads and take a look at our interactive map. Hey, John Bartell here, continuing our 58-county tour of California. Sacramento is the state capital, and outside the state capitol building, there's a unique tree. This tree right here, it's actually been to the moon. Yeah, the moon. This 45-year-old redwood was part of a NASA experiment on Apollo 14.
In order to see the effects of weightlessness on seeds.
Yep. When the redwood was just a seed, it was taken to the moon and then later planted outside the Capitol. Not impressed by the moon tree? Well, maybe Sacramento's Toontown will tickle your fancy. At the corner of Moretti and BYWAY in Arden, there's more than a dozen metal statues sitting in neighbors' front yards, each one of them playing a different instrument. Gassing up is a necessity on any road trip, and if you're driving through Yolo County, you may want to make a pit stop at Reef's Gas Station Museum in Woodland.
I'll tell you what I tell other people, pull my finger, get all the gas you want.
That's Mark Reef. He won't sell you any gas, but he will show you around his home/museum. His gas pump collection dates back to 1909, and he also has a whole lot of gas station memorabilia, including signs, oil cans, and tools. When you're done at the gas station museum, hop over to Davis and check out Toad Hollow. This odd display of Toad figurines and wooden houses lies at the end of a $14,000 Toad Tunnel.
There's been no toads that I've observed.
The Toad Tunnel was built to allow the western toad to cross under a busy street without getting smashed. But when their pond dried up, the toads died, so the community built this Toad Hollow as an homage. Moving on to Napa County, Calistoga is home to one of the world's 3 Old Faithful geysers. Take a look. You are looking at what we in the photojournalism field call the money shot, an image or recording that's visually pleasing, inspiring, or requires a lot of waiting. This is the Old Faithful geyser in Calistoga, one of just 3 Old Faithful geysers in the world, according to property manager Karai Sunli.
This one, the one in Yellowstone, of course, and the third one is in New Zealand.
To form a geyser, you need volcanic activity below the groundwater, and here in Calistoga, it's sitting right next to what's left of Mount St. Helena, a volcano that blew more than 3 million years ago. West of Napa's wine country is Sonoma County, and in the farming town of Cloverdale, the grapevines meet the citrus trees. Cloverdale is nestled in a unique microclimate perfect for growing oranges, grapefruits, and their famed Meyer lemons. Cloverdale also has one of the oldest orange trees in the state.
150 years.
If you want to taste some of the fruit, come in February to the Cloverdale Citrus Fair, or you could take a hike. Cloverdale is the gateway to the redwoods, and there's endless trails. And when you're ready to eat, head over to Tamales Bay in Marin County. It's an oyster lover's paradise. This is the Hog Island Oyster Fields, and John Finger is the owner and farmer.
The technical term is a mariculturist. You know, we get growth almost year-round here, but see this leading edge? That's like putting another ring down of a tree.
An oyster is a mollusk, but in a way, they're a lot like a tree. When they're young, oysters go through a seed stage, and when they grow up, they filter water, just like a tree filters air. So these guys are actually cleaning the water?
Yes, exactly. You know, there's a lot of areas of the world now where they're trying to put more oysters back into bays just for the purposes of making the bay healthier.
If you're ready for dessert after an oyster dinner, head south to San Francisco to the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory. Since 1962, this place has opened its doors to tourists, and the main attraction is Nancy Chan.
16 hours a day. If she not west, she gonna do 10,000.
10,000.
Easy.
And before you leave the city, stop by Seward's Mini Park and ride down the concrete slide. This rough, iconic slide was built in the 1960s so inner city kids could have some fun, but nowadays it requires a thick pair of pants to ride. Solano County has a one-of-a-kind bar in Rio Vista. When you walk into Foster's Bighorn, you'll be surrounded by animals from all over the world.
There are 255 heads, including the fish.
The historic taxidermy mounts are a part of Bill Foster's collection. They date back to a time before Prohibition when hunting laws were different. A collection like this would be illegal now, but these days the mounts are considered a museum. Got a sweet tooth? Head to Fairfield. Just 24 miles up Highway 12 from Rio Vista is the Jelly Belly Factory. Here, you can taste test all your favorite jelly beans, and the best part, the tour is free. Next stop, Contra Costa County, to the tarantula-infested trails of Mount Diablo. Every year around September and October, this arid hillside becomes a love nest for tarantulas, looking for that special mate.
Some scientists think the female throws out strands of silk that are saturated with spider perfume, pheromones.
Diablo State Park is Northern California's hotspot for tarantulas. If you want to find one, take a tour with naturalist Ken Lavin.
Oh, we can find anywhere from half a dozen. Usually we can at least find one.
It takes a keen eye to spot the spiders. The males generally only come out at dusk. If you've ever taken the Amtrak through Alameda County, you may recognize this next landmark. The pink ponds in Newark are probably the source of table salt you use every day. This is how it's made. This is the Cargill Salt Ponds in Newark, the nation's leader in sea salt production.
Do you grow salt, or is it just naturally made? Or?
It is grown, yes.
Grown?
So we consider it growing salt.
Plants need water to grow, but facility manager Matt Pitcher says that's the opposite when growing sea salt.
Where is this salt coming from?
So the salt comes from the San Francisco Bay. So we concentrate up bay water over a 3 to 4 year process and make this salt.
Think of the salt ponds as a giant solar-powered water extractor. Bay Area water is let into the shallow ponds, and the sun burns off the water. And after 3 or 4 years, it leaves salt behind to be scooped up by giant harvesters. Drive east to the Bay Area and it'll take you to San Joaquin County. In Stockton, you'll find a beautiful display of Buddhist statues. The highly detailed concrete sculptures were built by Cambodian monk Tet Kong. It took him 10 years to complete all 100 school bus-sized statues. And regardless of your religion, Kong says he built the statues for all people to enjoy. Hey, John Bartell here. We're continuing our tour through all 58 counties in California, showing you some of my favorite stories. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from Stockton is Calaveras County, where every May they hold the annual Jumping Frog Jubilee in Angels Camp.
Basic storyline is two miners bet on a couple of frogs on whose frog could jump the farthest.
The Jumping Frog Jubilee is a 90-year tradition that pays homage to a short story written by author Mark Twain while he was staying in Angels Camp. Competitors pick up a frog and try to see how far it will travel in 3 jumps. It's a little bit of a drive from Angels Camp, but next to Calaveras County is Alpine County, California's smallest county by landmass. But what it lacks in size, it makes up for in beauty. Fall is leaf peeping season in Alpine County, and the trees turn to a vibrant yellows, reds, and oranges. Who says autumn only exists on the East Coast? And if the mountain air gets a little too chilly for you, head over to Grover Hot Springs State Park in Markleeville.
But it's probably going to be hotter than you're going to want to touch.
The piping hot 148-degree mineral water is cooled down, then pumped into a family-friendly swimming pool that overlooks a gorgeous meadow and stark mountains. About an hour 45 drive from Markleeville, it gets really cold. Mono County holds the lowest recorded average temperature in the nation. This is Bodie State Park, a naturally preserved ghost town, and it's the coldest place in California.
The coldest I've seen is negative 29 degrees Fahrenheit.
Bodie is a National Weather Service monitoring site, and one of Joseph's jobs is to manually record the weather.
This is not the most sophisticated process here.
No, it's not, but it's tried and true, so they've been doing this for a very long time.
There's no digital monitors, no computerized readers, just 2 mercury thermometers. Simple seems to work here. During the winter months this year, the average temperature is negative 7 degrees. That makes this the coldest place in California, and often the coldest place in the nation. From Bodie State Park, you can drive Highway 108 to Tuolumne County, which takes you to Jamestown, where you can take a ride on one of the most famous locomotives in Hollywood. She's one of the oldest icons in movie history, casted in more than 200 films, TV shows, and commercials. Her name is Movie Queen, and she's Tuolumne County's biggest celebrity. Contrary to common belief, you won't find Movie Queen in Hollywood. Her home is here at the 1897 Reeltown State Historic Park in Jamestown.
If you've seen an old Western,
It's probably that locomotive that you're seeing.
Movie Queen is her stage name, but engine number 3 is what park staff like Jackie Olivaria know her as. Movie buffs may recognize her from this film, Back to the Future 3. This train was in Back to the Future, huh?
Yeah, it was.
So, are we going to be able to get this thing up to 88 miles per hour?
Not with me on it.
The movie train won't take you there, but from Jamestown, you're just an hour drive from the gateway of Yosemite National Park in Mariposa County. If you travel in early spring, you may catch the annual newt migration in El Portal. These little guys are making their way from the forest to the Merced River to mate. All right, so these guys may be crossing the road in the name of love, but sometimes they run into some heartache. Or should I say, backbreak. Busy roads once killed the crossing newts, but in recent years, some of the roads were shut down so they could cross. Moving south of Yosemite, we head to the center of California in Madera County, where the palm meets the pine on Highway 99. These iconic trees represent the divide between northern and southern California. However, it's a little unclear on who planted them in this location.
I have no idea. It's one of the things that's been interesting to try to learn more about this.
Author Steve Newvine points out the actual geological center of California is 45 miles northeast of the trees in North Fork, California, at this survey marker near Reddinger Lake. Rest stops are a crucial part of any road trip, and Merced County has the mecca of all rest stops in the little town of Santanella. Truck stops, restaurants, gas stations, and hotels litter the roadway along Interstate 5, and the one that gets a lot of attention is Pea Soup Anderson's, the home of the original pea soup. Over 2 million bowls of this served every year. The first bowl of the famous soup was served up on June 13, 1924, a recipe made by Danish immigrants Anton and Juliet Anderson. Once you've had your fill of pea soup, head over to Modesto to Stanislaus County and the home of George Lucas and the Graffiti Summer Car Show. Every August, hordes of hot rods line the street of Modesto to pay tribute to George Lucas's movie American Graffiti, which captured the nostalgia of one night on the streets of Modesto in 1962.
You know, American Graffiti speaks to so many different people.
After cruising the streets of Modesto, make your way to Adobe Springs just outside Patterson. Some call the water that comes out of the ground the Fountain of Youth because it contains high levels of magnesium. How much magnesium is in this water here?
Well, normal bottled water has 1 to 5 milligrams of magnesium per liter. We have 110 milligrams per liter.
Magnesium is essential for energy production, digestion, and a slew of other body functions. And the great thing about Adobe Springs is you can fill up your own bottles for free. Just up the hill from Patterson is the Lick Observatory in Santa Clara County. Located on the top of Mount Hamilton is the historic 36-inch refractor telescope, which was built in 1888. Tour guide and astronomer Eleanor Gates says it was a major technological leap for California.
It was really the pinnacle of technology back in 1888. And I like to think of it as the dawn of high tech in Silicon Valley.
The advancements didn't stop there. Multiple high-tech telescopes search the sky today, including a laser telescope. And just in case you're wondering, yes, they are looking for aliens.
We have not yet discovered any aliens. However, we are looking.
Now moving east of Santa Clara County, you'll find more odd-looking plants in San Mateo County. This is predatory plants in Half Moon Bay, and everything here eats bugs, including the Venus flytrap, which is arguably the most active and entertaining plant in owner Josh Brown's shop.
It'll snap shut very, very fast. It's actually one of the fastest moving plants. Oh, there you go.
Looking for a less aggressive plant? Half Moon Bay is also known for its pumpkins. The coastal fog helps them grow really big. In fact, every year, the annual Half Moon Bay Weigh-Offs attract competitive pumpkin growers from all over the world. And before you go, check out Miramar Beach and the Maverick Surf Spot, where surfing is always in season. If you're looking for something a little slower paced, head to Santa Cruz County and do a little banana slug hunting at Henry Cowell Redwood State Park. Or you could check out one of California's most mysterious roadside attractions, the Mystery Spot. Alright, the Mystery Spot was discovered by George Prather after his cabin slid down a hill in the 1940s. Soon after, he started noticing strange things like round objects rolling uphill.
Come to a stop and stay there, correct? Correct, I'm gonna give it a little push. Whoa. kind of freaky.
Not impressed? How about you step inside the cabin and stand awkwardly close to Daniel?
Oh, okay. What angle am I standing right now?
About 17.
17 degrees.
George Prather couldn't live in the cabin, so he turned it into a mysterious tourist attraction, and it caught the attention of a Life magazine photographer who took this famous picture.
My favorite part of the picture is the woman, because her name was Eileen.
Nothing mysterious about this next location, just a bunch of cute otters. Next stop, Monterey County in the Elkhorn Slough. These are southern sea otters, and in a good way, the Elkhorn Slough is sort of infested with them.
Up to about 140 is the population for the Elkhorn Slough.
Now, 140 sea otters may not seem like a lot, but it actually is.
And that's the highest concentration of southern sea otters in the world.
You see, the southern sea otter has had a pretty rough life, and it's all because of hunters back in the 17 and 1800s.
It was a very profitable thing for fur traders to get hold of.
Thanks to rehabilitation efforts, visitors have ample opportunity to see and observe the otters.
What this otter's doing right now is grooming.
More than 700 animal species call Elkhorn Slough home. It's a special place, a testament to conservation efforts and a safe haven for all animals. Bordering Monterey County is San Benito County, the gateway to Pinnacles National Park. Inside, you'll find a graveyard filled with ancient volcanic activity. The dramatic rock spires that pierce out of the Gabilan Mountains are known as pinnacles. A labyrinth of natural caves and steep trails will take you to the tips of the pinnacles, and if you're lucky, you'll catch a glimpse of the endangered California condor, which is making a comeback.
When you come to Pinnacles, on any given day, there's a good chance that you could see one in the sky. But if you were here 30 years ago, the chances of seeing one were 0.
From Pinnacles National Park, it's a 45-minute drive to San Juan Bautista State Historic Park, which is the location of California's 15th Spanish-era mission. Welcome back to Bartell's Backroads. We're nearing the end of our 58-county tour of California, but now I want to take you underground to a historic garden built by a Sicilian immigrant. Several feet below the city of Fresno, you'll find Baldassar Forestier's underground garden. From 1906 to 1946, Baldassar dug below the rock-hard dirt in an effort to escape Fresno's heat and plant his orchard.
It had at one time when he grafted it. We are sadly down to 2.
Citrus trees and vegetables of all kinds grow down here, many of which are on display for tourists to see every day. Above ground, about 35 miles south of Fresno, is the city of Hanford, the agriculture party town of Kings County. The hoedown is alive and well in Hanford. People surrounding this farming community are the state's top producers of cotton, wheat, milk, and many other products.
The Central Valley feeds a huge population worldwide.
When the sun goes down and the tractors are put back in the barn, Kings County likes to party. Every Thursday, they hold a celebration in downtown Hanford, showcasing the best of what's grown here. And if you party till the sun comes out, you can catch a ride on Freddie, a 1950s Studebaker fire truck that was converted into a tourist transportation vehicle that gives rides around the city. If you head east from the fertile fields of Hanford, you'll end up in Tulare County and eventually Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park. Here, everything is big. For example, this is Mount Whitney, the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states. And this is Marl Rock, a land-consuming granite dome. And over here is the Giant Forest, home to the world's tallest trees. To give you guys a little perspective, these tree trunks get up to about 40 feet wide, and the tree gets about 300 feet tall. That's big, if you can't tell. The national park is so big, you can't even drive through most of it. 95% of the park is designated wilderness, and below the park, there's something else that's really big.
Most of the mountains are granite, but what we're standing inside of right now is a giant boulder of marble.
The giant marble boulder that tour guide Rebecca Jones is talking about is Crystal Cave, a 1.4 million year old cave that's big enough for crowds of people to explore and learn about the sparkling calcite crystals. You can park your car and saddle up at this next location. Inyo County is home to the annual Bishop Mule Days Festival. Every Memorial Day since 1969, the town of Bishop is inundated with thousands of mules for none other than the annual Mule Days celebration.
And once a mule is taught something to be done right, they never forget it, and they repetitiously will do it over and over again. Showtime!
Mule Days is part mule parade, part skills test, and part Wild West show. What is the difference between a mule and a donkey?
Well, a mule is a half of a horse and half of a donkey.
Well, you're gonna wanna turn up your AC because we're heading to the Mojave in San Bernardino County. First stop, Calico Ghost Mine, where you can search for silver or wander the old western streets. Calico was once an active mine, but after it was closed, amusement park entrepreneur Walter Knott took it over and turned it into a tourist attraction. About an hour east of Calico, you'll find this odd-looking road sign.
Zzyzx. Is this even a real place?
At the westernmost edge of the Mojave is Zzyzx, an abandoned health spa once run by a radio evangelic talk show host. Today, Zzyzx is a national reserve and desert research area that's open to the public. Before you go any further, you should definitely gas up. If you run low on fuel driving through the Mojave, you may be forced to get gas in the little town of Amboy.
What is the gas price here at Amboy?
$5.50 regular.
Amboy was a popular gas station on Route 66, but when Highway 40 was built, it bypassed the town, leaving it stranded. Now, any fuel that does make it to Amboy is ridiculously expensive. To worry about high gas prices if you make it to Kern County, there's plenty of oil in the town of Taft. At one point, it was the largest producer of crude oil. You can learn all about it at the West Kern Oil Museum. They have relics of oil productions past and a display on the 1910 Lakeview Gusher, a drilling accident that spewed oil into the air for 544 days.
About how much oil came out of this gusher here?
Well, 9 million barrels.
About 20 miles from Taft and far from the Gusher is the lesser-known oil town of McKittrick and the home of the Penny Bar. The floors, the walls, the bathroom, and the bar itself are covered in pennies.
In the bar top, there's 13,482 pennies.
Who counted those?
I don't know, not me.
The unique decor was fashioned by Mike and Annie Moore, who wanted a cheap way to decorate. Instead, the whole bar ended up costing them more than 1 million pennies in all. Looking for a place to sleep? Head down to San Luis Obispo County and check out the rooms at the Madonna Inn. This 110-room hotel and restaurant attracts vacationers of all kinds because each one of their rooms has a different theme. There's just one thing. I hope you like the color pink.
Mr. Madonna loved when Mrs. Madonna wore pink. He thought it was the best color on her, and he thought that it was a color that made people happy.
And a trip to San Luis Obispo wouldn't be complete without a stop at Bubblegum Alley, a wall covered in, well, used chewing gum.
Smells kind of like fruity, minty bacteria.
We're gonna move on to a less repulsive location. In Santa Barbara County, the bird is the word at Ostrich Land.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Welcome to Ostrich Land, USA, Santa Barbara County's premier big bird sanctuary.
The black ones with our orange beaks are the males, and then the brown ones with the brown beaks are the females.
Cody Perry is a self-proclaimed ostrich wrangler. He has a number of jobs here, but his main job is egg collection.
Whoa, these are heavy. Yep, they're about 4 to 5 pounds. Daily we come out here and we get about probably like 10 to 15 eggs.
Egg sales are one of the main sources of income at Ostrich Land. The previous owners used to raise the birds for meat. Now, the property is a bird sanctuary. About an hour south of Ostrich Land is Ventura County, where you can climb aboard a boat and visit California's most remote national park, Channel Islands. It would be difficult to visit all 5 islands in one trip, but if you want to experience the largest and most diverse of them all, you may want to take a tour of Santa Cruz Island with 20-year veteran park docent Catherine French.
They are made by volcanic activity, but we have no volcanoes that are going to erupt out here.
A mountainous island formed on top of a massive fault line. Santa Cruz Island was actually never part of mainland California. Its rugged terrain isolated nearly 60 different plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. And that also includes the sneaky and fearless Santa Cruz Island fox. That fox has absolutely no manners. Now to the City of Angels. Los Angeles County is known for its Hollywood stars, but 11,000 years before the silver screen was even invented, monsters roamed the land, and sometimes they got stuck in the La Brea tar pits. Located in the heart of LA's Museum District is Hancock Park, and it's debatably the most deadly park in California.
This 14-acre park has produced over 3.5 million fossils.
Thankfully, all the deadly tar pits are fenced off, so the visitors can experience the museum displays safely. LA may have bubbling tar pits, but Orange County has a giant balloon and jumping dolphins. If Disneyland is out of your budget, head over to the city of Irvine and ride the Great Parks Balloon. This 118-foot tall helium balloon can take passengers up to 400 feet in the air, and the best part of all is the price to ride it.
You don't have to pay to get on this.
That's correct. It's $0. It is first come, first serve, and weather permitting.
From the top of the balloon, you can see all the way to the Hollywood signs in LA. And if you squint really hard, you might be able to see the dolphins at Dana Park. If dolphin watching isn't exciting enough, how about dinosaur spotting? Riverside County is home to one of California's most iconic roadside attractions, the Cabazon dinosaurs. From Interstate 10, there's two beasts that dominate the skyline. Built by sculptor Claude Bell in the 1960s, the concrete dinos are hollow inside, so you can explore their innards, or you can meet their smaller Jurassic counterparts.
How many kids run out of here screaming?
So many.
Below the towering T-Rex is a theme park full of realistic dinosaurs. It may take you a few hours to see them all, but when you're done, head over to Indio for a date shake at the Shield State Garden. Then make sure you watch the informative movie on how dates are produced.
The Shield State Garden is the only place in the world where you can see and hear the romance and sex life of the date.
Shield State Garden is one of the only gardens that'll give you a tour, then go into fine detail on how dates are produced. The original owner, Floyd Shield, knew that sex sold, so he spiced up the explanation on how they're pollinated and made a movie.
Hey, John Bartell here. We're nearing the end of our 58-county tour through California. Now it's time to go bananas. Next stop, Imperial County.
Just outside the town of Mecca on Highway 11 along the Salton Sea, you'll find the International Banana Museum. It's not well advertised, so look for the banana-shaped metal sculpture in front of the convenience store or the bright yellow Chevy Camaro. It belongs to owner Fred Garbutt. Once inside, you'll find a bunch of banana-related memorabilia, and you can ask Fred why he built the place.
Yeah, I'm crazy. You know, I'm nuts. Here, come see this crazy banana. It's like, if that's what brings him in, whatever.
Fred started this place on a whim after winning an odd collection of banana figurines on eBay. He had some space next door to his convenience store, so he displayed them here, and he's getting a lot of traction from tourists traveling to and from Salvation Mountain in Slab City.
Like everything, people find what they're looking for, you know. Some think it's lollipop land.
Slab City is an abandoned military base turned squatter's paradise. Salvation Mountain is an artist attraction inside the city built by the late Leonard Knight. His idea was to attract people and spread love. You'll find a different kind of love in San Diego County. Meet the lovable animals of Oasis Camel Dairy in Ramona.
What are we looking at here?
We have the one-hump camels right over here. They're the hot desert camels. They do really good in this area. This is pretty much like their natural habitat.
Gil Regler and his wife are the proud owners of 24 dromedary camels. You know, the one-hump kind.
Camels come from Arabia, these camels. There's one-hump camels, they come from the hot desert. Two-hump camels come from the cold desert.
Not only do the one-hump camels like the hot San Diego desert, they're also the ideal breed of camel for milk production.
You're actually milking these camels?
Yes, I am. Right now I'm milking one camel. I milk Knuckles, and we make our products.
The camel milk at Oasis Dairy is not for drinking. It's used in lotions and soaps.
The lotion has 10% camel's milk in it. We milk, right now we're milking Knuckles, and then her milk goes into this lotion.
Well, California is a vast and diverse place, but I've only shown you a tiny portion of what each one of the 58 counties has to offer. But if you want to see more stories and learn about the ones you've just seen, head over to abc10.com/backroads and check out our interactive map. It shows you all the stories that I've done, and it may help you create a road trip of your own. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.